Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather Ness. I am an intuitive numerologist and spiritual mentor, and today I'm really excited to be talking about personal years. This is actually my second video in a three-part series talking about your personal year. It's the month of December. We are beginning to look at the future. What is our next year going to look like? What are going to be our New Year's resolutions, our New Year commitments? What are the things that we want to create in our next year? And so I really find this is such a special and fun time, and I'm really excited to be able to continue our conversation about personal years. In numerology, we have something called a personal year. And a personal year is really like a cycle that you rotate through. You'll have 9 cycles that you rotate through that really give your life some more depth. In numerology, we look at life path number, soul urge number, your destiny number, and then something called a personal year really gives it that depth. And it's really exciting because it is a cycle that you can really feel the vibration of. Now, I did go into much more detail about what a personal year is and how to calculate your personal year in video number 1. So if you haven't seen that yet, make sure you go and click on the link below because I've actually linked it in the show notes. So definitely go back so you know how to calculate your personal year. Also, while we're on the subject, one way to really show me some amazing support is to subscribe to the channel. So if you haven't done so yet, please click the little subscribe button right there down below. Do it right now before we get started. Perfect. Now that we got that out of the way, first of all, I want to say thank you for subscribing. But now that we got that out of the way, let's dig in. So in my first video, we talked about how to calculate your personal year number. And then also talked about personal year 1, 2, and 3. So in this video, we're going to be discussing personal year 4, 5, and 6. And I think that these are such amazing years. Obviously, they're smack dab in the middle of your 9-year cycle. So they're really like, you've already kind of figured out what you're doing, and they're really kind of rooting in what your plan is for this 9-year cycle. If you've begun planning, which you're going to start doing with this video. So let's talk about a personal year 4. Personal year 4, like the word that I have for that is foundation. Your personal year 4 is all about your personal sense of security, stability, your foundations. 4 also represents the medical field. So this may also be a year where you really get focused on health or wellness. It's really a year about foundations and structure and what really is going to set us up for the future for success. So when it comes to stability and security, you're going to be anything that isn't on solid ground is possibly likely going to be shook. And or you're going to feel a sense of you needing to shake it up. This is a year where we get really focused on our finances. Are our finances in the right spot? What do we want to do to create more wealth or more prosperity in our life? Whether that is possibly going back to school to create a new career, whether that is reevaluating a career that you have and figuring out what you want your next steps to be in that ladder of growth at your job or your current chosen career. Or whether that's looking at what you're doing right now to bring in income and security and stability. Is it providing the type of security and stability that you want? Is it really what you want in your life? Because if it isn't, this is a year where sometimes we might choose to get a certificate in a certain field and or go back to maybe even higher school, like college or grad school or something like that, to really progress ourselves. We also are looking at anything that might not be bringing us the abundance or the financial security that we want. So we might be looking at investing more into our 401k or maybe diversifying that into some kind of like day trading or something, right? We might also be looking at what are the things that we can cut out in our life? You know, if we're going through a bit of a financial struggle, we might be saying, hey, this is a year where I really want to buckle down and I'm going to focus on what it is that I want in the future. So I'm willing to sacrifice these things right now and not have these to make sure that I have that. It also brings us to anything that's foundational, anything that brings us a sense of security. You know, you might be looking at buying a house in a year 4 to begin building that foundation for your future family, right? This is also a year that sometimes we look at Are we in the relationships that we want? And if we're not, it's a year that we focus on creating that relationship stronger to ensure that it has the foundation. You might even have a time when you look at just overall in life, what's working for you and what's not, right? If something's working for you, then you're going to put more effort into that. If it's not, you're going to say, hey, you know what? Maybe that isn't working, and you're going to look at possibly cutting that out. It's really a year of setting up those foundations for your future and ensuring that you're going to have huge success. And so it is a year that sometimes shadow-wise, like I said, the number 4 also rules the medical or health field. So it is a time that sometimes we look at our foundation of our health, right? This might be a year that we get into a health and wellness sort of routine, whether that is watching what we're eating, changing up our diet, doing more exercise. Maybe we just know we need to de-stress. Maybe we're now doing yoga. It is a year that if you've kind of been ignoring your health, you may have some health challenges pop up. It's not uncommon that it's going to shake up your life in a way that is everything foundational. So if you are sitting on a foundation of security and a foundation that's very strong with your health, with your finances, with your love life, with your home, then this is a year where you're just building that even stronger, right? And if you're on a foundation that's a little rocky in any of those little areas, it's going to really require you to look at those more deeply and see what can I do to ensure that when I'm done with my year 4, I'm sitting on solid ground in those areas. And so it's a really beautiful year of focusing on those things. It's a year to really create some momentum forward in finance, in health, in career, in home, all of those foundational things. And if you focus in on those in that year, in your year 4, you're going to have an amazing year 4. Now let's talk about a year 5. In your year 5, I would really say what you're looking at to like sum it all up is freedom, fun, and facing your fears. You just came out of a very structured, really focused year 4, and now you're in a year where you're kind of like excited for some change. This is really a year that is all about fun and creativity and getting out there and adventure. 5s are very expressive, they're very good at communicating, and they're all about change, and they're really all about change. So this is a year where if you've done the work in your year 4, maybe you've gone back to school, maybe you have really focused at work to ensure that you have a strong foundation. This is a year where you're going to really be able to reap those rewards, where you might be changing careers. You might be taking on a promotion at work. You may even be looking at saying, in my foundational year 4, I realize that where I'm at is not where I want to be, and I'd rather be here. And this might be a year that you get up and you move to that home or that place that you've always wanted to live. It's really a year about facing those fears. And this is exciting for people, especially if you have any kind of like 5 energy or 3 energy in your chart, something that's very expressive and fun. If you do have in your personal chart a little bit more conservative numbers, like maybe a number 4, this could be a year where you're really going to be you're going to be forced to face those fears of things that you've really been scared to do. But this is a year that's meant to be fun. It's meant to be out of the box. It's meant for travel. This is really a year where it's about like feeling yourself. 5s are also very like sensual. So this is a year where you might get a little more sexy. You might feel a little more like, especially if you're in year 4 and you're working on your health, maybe this is a year where now you're feeling all that stuff kind of like kick in. You're feeling really good about yourself. This is a year that is really meant to sort of be fun and out there. Meeting people, creating connections. The 5 energy is very good at persuasion. So this might even be a year where you're really moving your personal business or brand forward by being able to really communicate what it is that you offer people, or the benefit that you can be offering them. So this is such a fun year. And it's, the shadow side of 5 energy is maybe taking it to excess, right? Being a little overly taking it to the edge a little too far. So one of the things that you want to be wary of when you're in personal year 5 is that you have fun, but you also create that balance, or that structure, right? Don't forget all the structure that you set up in year 4. The idea of the 5 coming after the 4 is that it gives you a little bit of relief from all of that hard stuff that you were working on, but it's also about bringing that structure that you create in year 4, but still allowing yourself to let loose and have fun. And that's really the balance in a 5, and to have a truly successful year 5 is to ensure that you don't forget all the stuff that you set up in your year 4, but that you do push yourself past your fears. The 4 energy sometimes can be a bit fearful to go outside of the box. 5 sits right on top of the box and sees all the sides. And so the beauty in that energy is that you're really going to be able to move things forward and have a lot of fun in this year. So this is a year that you're going to be out there having fun, traveling, having new experiences, trying new things, really getting in tune with what makes you happy, feeling a bit more sexy, all of that amazing stuff. And if you focus in on that in your year 5, you're going to have an incredible year. Now let's talk about your year 6. Year 6 is really all about the heart. It's very heart-centered. It's about family. It's about love. It's about relationships. If you think of the number 5 or the number 6, it's almost like a little pregnant belly if you look at the number itself. And so the beauty in this is like you just came off of an expressive, fun, crazy year 5, full of adventure. And now you're in a number 6 where you're like, okay, now I'm ready to sort of settle down. I've created those foundations in my year 4. I've gone out and had a ton of fun in my year 5. And now it's time to really buckle down and build those relationships or anything that means home to you. You know, what's so beautiful about a year 6 is that this is really a year that's about connection to myself and my heart and what makes me feel happy and loved. It's about connection to the people around us that mean a lot, like our relationships with family, our relationships with love. What's so fun about a year 6 is that if you're in a committed relationship, many times that relationship will maybe go to the next level. We might be looking at getting engaged in this year. You might be looking at getting married in this year. Maybe even starting your family in this year. Now we're looking at getting hopefully pregnant. If we already are in a committed relationship, this is a year where you really focus in and bring that relationship and that connection to that next level. It's what we call the year of marriage and divorce. And so if you are in your year 6 and maybe your relationship isn't as strong as you want it to be, it's a year that you're going to begin working on that. And sometimes we can work on that and really allow that flower to truly bloom. And sometimes we realize that flower just isn't going to make it and we need to pluck it out of the garden that we have. And so this is a year where it's really going to be about those relationships. And sometimes that's even family relationships, family dynamics, whether that's, creating a closer connection with your parent or maybe a sibling or maybe a really good friend or maybe even your own child, right? When we're developing those relationships with family, sometimes it's a year that will bring us back to being a little more heart-centered. It's also a year, 6 energy is all about aesthetics and really beauty. So it's many times it's a year that we might focus in on feeling good internally about ourselves, whether that's reinventing our look, whether that is maybe working on our, how we feel about how we look and or even the aesthetics in our house. A 6 year is not uncommon that you renovate a house or just update the look in your house or maybe even reinvent your personal look with your clothes. It's really a year that's about anything that is very heart-centered. So feeling good about myself and not being too critical on myself is a really important thing. 6 energy sometimes can be a little bit self-critical and or I would say judgmental to ourselves in a 6 energy. So if we're in a personal year, we might be a little self-critical. Those are one of those things or those shadow sides that we want to kind of work through and make sure, are we being critical in a healthy way or are we just being self-critical in a hurtful way, right? And this might be a time when we look internally to create a new voice that we say to ourselves, and that's really the beauty in the 6 energy is that it's really about that healthy balance and that healthy heart-centered love. And if you focus in on that beautiful love with relationships and family and yourself, you're gonna have an amazing, beautiful year 6. Well, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate the support by clicking that little subscribe button right now. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Remember, this is the second video to my 3-part series, and what's really fun is not only to know our personal year, but it's also really fun to know the people around us personal year. It allows us to understand what kind of cycle they're going through, and if we're in a committed relationship, their cycle and our cycle will be going through at the same time, so we might be experiencing different themes, and how can we bring those themes together? So I encourage you to watch the other videos. I will be posting right after this one next week, personal year 7, 8, and 9 to round out our 3-part series to begin planning for the new year of 2025. I can't believe it's gonna be 2025. It took me a moment, I had to think about it, in just like a few weeks. So anyways, thank you again for watching. You guys have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.